Alright guys, we're here to talk about uh, adding the Canon hack to your Canon camera. Um, so someone has figured out how to modify the firmware on a large variety of Canon cameras and provide a lot of low-level access as well as some, extended features. The extended feature we're most interested in is the ability to script actions. So we would like to be able to take still shots every so often, with a camera. Now I got a fairly cheap camera. I got this Canon A2500. I got it refurbished off of Canon's website. I think I paid $40 for it, which is really good. It's a 16 meg camera. In all honesty, I don't think the picture is that great, but I really don't want to, blow a 400, four or $500 GoPro on this just yet. Maybe if I get really good at predicting it, then in recovery, then sure, but not the first few times. So obviously the first thing you're going to need is a Canon camera. I'm only going to show you the A2500 and how I did it. There are a lot of help pages out there, and I had quite a bit of, not a long time, maybe spent a half a day, figuring this out. So that you know that's not as that bad as far as these things go, because every one of these little cameras has different versions on it and little quirks, things you've got to learn. So it don't be surprised. It's not. I didn't find it to be that easy. Um, it wasn't hard, but there's a lot of little things to figure out. So it's going to take time. So let's just pop over to the Canon Hack webpage. It's chdk.wikia.com. If you want to read about all the history here it's on here. But we're most interested in getting the file that we need, right? We need the actual content. Or so what's one thing that's very cool about the Canon hack, that is different from a lot of the other device hacks that I've done, is that you don't have any risk of bricking your camera. The firmware that you have will actually live on the memory card, and I'll show you the tricks about how to get it to boot selectively from the card. Um, there are a lot of different versions for different cameras, so you'll need to figure that out if you don't go with the A2500. What's very cool about the 2500, and I didn't know this at the time, was that there's actually only um, one version of it. So here's the A2500, and you can see they only have a 1.0A release for it, whereas for the 2400 they have the C, D, and E. And that actually could be dependent, which one you need could be dependent on what firmware is installed on your Canon camera. There are a lot of scripts that are out there, so if you pop over to the CHDK and scripts tab on their website, you can see that there's a number of scripts that people have written. Intervalometer are the ones that we're interested in. They're the ones that simply take shots on a time. They've got different variations. I have not completely selected the one that I want to use, but this is intended to get you to the point where you can install these and make a decision about it. And not all of these scripts are going to work for every camera based on my reading, so keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and download the software we need. I have already gone to the downloads page. If you don't get the A2500, there's a whole page on figuring out what version of camera you have. I have done it, even though I didn't need to do it. And personally, the easiest thing to do is to take a photo and use one of the tools that they suggest to analyze the photo, and it will tell you exactly what camera you have because it is embedded in the image. So I'm just going to go ahead and save this. And we're going to need to prepare the memory card. You probably need to do this regardless of whether your memory card is above 4 gigs or not. I'm not 100% sure, but it should work regardless if it's above 4 gigs or is not. So let's just go ahead and expand this. Now I'm not super familiar with SUSE Linux. I'm actually let me go ahead and blow this up full screen. So I'm running VMware Workstation on top of my Mac. It allows me to run Linux, and I've just simply connected the USB drive in and allowed it to connect directly to Linux. I'm familiar with a lot of different variations of Linux, but not explicitly SUSE. Uh, and every version, they seem to do a little bit something different. The best thing for me to do is to just drop down into the command line if I can find it. I believe it's over here in terminal. There we go. All right, so we're in my home directory and we want to go to downloads, and there it is. So we can unzip this easily at the command line. Kind of wish that it had put it into a subdirectory, but we can live with this. So these two files right here are the actual binaries. I don't know if this is a binary. This is definitely the binary. This vers.request is actually a marker file that tells the Canon camera to write the version down. And then the CHDK folder is the scripts and games. So one thing I didn't make clear here is that when I downloaded this, I got the full version, and I suggest that you really should be using a fairly large memory card. You get the full version. It's not that big, much bigger, right? So 355K versus 761K. So what? Just over a quarter of a meg to 3/4. So well, let's say a third of a meg to I don't know, 2/3. A little more than 2/3. Not really large enough to be concerned about. Not getting the full extras just for the space. So we've downloaded it, but we need to prepare the memory card to make it bootable. So when I stuck my memory card into the Linux operating system, it came up as SDB. So if you run the command dmessage right after you plug it in, it should give you a pretty good clue of what the device name is. One other way is that if you just probe around with fdisk, right? So it's not going to tell you, it's not going to let you fdisk a drive that's not there. So fdisk is going to allow us, you know what? You need to also act as super user. So go ahead and sudo su to the root user. And then I'll just go ahead and show you that SDC command there. It's going to tell you SDC doesn't exist. So SDB, right, and we can print this out. I've actually already done this once, so it does show as a Windows 95 FAT32. Yours may not show that. So we can delete the partition, and we can see there's nothing left. And we can create the partition. It's new. It's going to be a primary. It's going to be the first partition. Your first sector may be different. It doesn't have to start with 1 or 0. It's okay. Just go ahead and make it the largest partition here. And it did go ahead and set the type to Linux, and we don't want the type to be Linux. So we want the type to be a Windows FAT32. So that looks like it is going to be a B. Yeah. So we can write that, and then we can make DOS file system, I think it is. Yeah, then FAT32, and we can write to that first partition, SDB1. So we created SDB1 just now. And it's now there, and you can see that the operating system detected it and said, hey, you've got some media you can use. So okay, now that we have a disk that is partitioned correctly, we can mount it. So we need to create a directory to mount the disk in, and we use the mount command /dev sdb1 mount temp. Alright, so then we can change directory and we can see that this is empty. So if we go back to our home directory where we downloaded CHDK, you can see we have these files. We don't need changelog and we don't need readme. We can actually delete those. We can just copy these over. Right, so now they exist on mount temp. And then we can come out of here, we can umount, unmount the disk, and that's it. So we're going to stuff this back into our Canon camera, and I will get some screenshots of that, and we'll show how, or not screenshots, but some video of that, and we'll show how to make this a bootable disk. Okay guys, I've stepped into my closet office here. Got my Yaesu 1200 under there with the data. That's the HF radio, the power supply up there. Watching a nice little weather balloon video. So we've got our memory card that we just put a partition on and put the CHDK on, and we've got our Canon A2500. We can go ahead and drop the memory card. We can go and put the memory card in, right? And the read-only is not set yet, so that will become important here shortly. Right, so put that in, and the trick here is to boot from this play button. You press the menu button, go all the way to the bottom, and there'll be a firmware update. You say OK, and that will cause the Canon development kit, Canon Hack development kit, to boot. Then we can get into the alternate menu with this play button and use the menu button to bring up the CHDK menu. We'll go to miscellaneous stuff, and then we'll go to SD card and make card bootable and OK. So now we can turn it off with the power button up here. Pull the memory card back out. Use the lock button here. And now, when we boot from this card, or turn the power on, we will actually boot to this card every time. So you can press that. There we go. Turned on, you can see up here we have 14 gigs. So again, if you want to get into the Canon Hack Development Kit menu, then you press the play button, and you can get in here. And this is where the scripts are. So I'm going to leave it up to you to figure out the script that you want. I think it's the interleaver, the one that's going to be most useful. So load script from file, and you can see there's the CHDK directory that was there, and there are the interval files. So there you go.